Going on, everyone? John Matrix here. So today we're jumping back into the wonderful world of exploring the SCP Foundation and the SCP universe. Today we're going to take a look at SCP-3001 Red Reality from the Exploring series. As always, links will be down below in the description to the Exploring series channel and to this original video without my commentary and reaction. Please do me the favor of going over there and giving this man's video a like and checking out his channel. And if he's got content that you're interested in, give the man a sub. Makes a lot of great content, deserves some love. As you can see here, we are doing this reaction live for my YouTube members. So if you would like to come hang out and join in the discussions, would love to have you guys here. There's a join button down below. Check it out. See if there's any YouTube membership benefits that have any interest to you. If you would like to join up, again, like I said, we'll love to have you guys come in and hang out and show while we're doing this and join in our discussions. But regardless of that, I just appreciate you guys checking out the video. Just enjoy, guys, coming in, hanging out, giving the support. Really appreciate it. But yeah, with all that said, we're gonna jump in this video. Again, this is Exploring the SCP Foundation, SCP-3001 Red Reality. I have no idea what to expect from this video. From the title, the only thing I could potentially infer is maybe something about communism. I don't know if this would have anything to do with communism. I would highly doubt it with everything that happens in the SCP universe, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe it has something to do with the Russians won World War II or something like that, some kind of alternate dimension reality, and this is going in and exploring that. I don't know. But anyway, let's check it out. So, pop that up. Volume's good. Let's go.
SCP-3001.
Already doesn't seem like it has anything to do with that.
Reality. What does it mean to be truly alone? You can be alone in a room, in a building, on an island, or on the moon. Or you can be alone in your own mind.
True.
But we all live in a world filled with people. SCP-3001, on the other hand, shows us an example of an individual that is truly and utterly alone, which is a unique case of science fiction, and yet it also manages to be surprisingly grounded in reality. SCP-3001 is not a happy story, but it's also an incomplete one, which leaves us with a sense of hope. The bulk of 3001 takes the form of transcribed logs, so I would suggest reading through it all yourself.
Okay.
But I'll try to strike a balance between summarizing and reading them.
So, it's a story about a being who is utterly and completely alone. So I'm assuming, does that mean its existence, it's never known, interacted with anything else ever? It has just existed by itself in its own world, its own universe? There's is it literally just it floating in an empty void of nothingness and there's literally nothing else, like that kind of utterly alone? Because what kind of existence is that then? You know what I mean? Anyway, let's find out.
To put it simply, SCP-3001 is a non-dimension, accessible through the creation of a specific type of flawed wormhole.
Interesting.
Basically, it is a space between dimensions that really shouldn't exist, but was discovered by the SCP Foundation accidentally. It is believed to extend infinitely in all directions, but possesses no matter of any kind. The non-dimension also has an extremely low Hume level, which is a degree of measurement used by the Foundation to measure the strength or amount of reality in a given area.
I wonder if it's a universe that's just at its end. You know what I mean? It's reached entropy and just everything's dead. It's reached, it's a universe that just literally has reached the end of its life, so there's just nothing left. No matter can form, no nothing. Wonder if that's kind of what this is dealing with.
In other words, our baseline reality has a given level of Hume that we're accustomed to, but certain factors, such as other dimensions or reality benders, can change that level of Hume as things become more or less real, so to speak. What a very low Hume level means for 3001 is that matter that would be located inside the non-dimension decays at an extremely slow rate, and organisms could still function despite taking damage that would normally kill them.
Interesting.
Up to a certain point. The downside of this, however, is that Hume fields tend to even out, and so prolonged exposure to 3001 will cause an organism's Hume level to drop until they begin to disintegrate. 3001 was discovered in 2000, while Dr. Robert Scranton and his wife, Dr. Anna Lang, were working on a device that would stabilize reality by manipulating Hume levels. Unexpected seismic activity at the site damaged several experimental reality stabilizers, creating one of those specific wormholes, which proceeded to pull Robert into the non-dimension before closing.
Yikes.
We are then presented with a large number of logs, transcribed from audio recordings made by Robert. For the first 8 days of Robert being inside 3001, he attempts to navigate the non-dimension to find a way out while going through periods of panic, confusion, and anger.
So he's there for 8 days in a non-dimension. I would assume because he was taking, it wasn't a planned thing. It was an accident that he was taken in this dimension. He's been in there for 8 days with no food or water. So is this a situation where because he's in another dimension, those rules don't necessarily apply? Because, like, generally speaking, humans can't really live much more than like 3, maybe 4 days without water, right? Without being hydrated. So, like, is it a situation like where those rules won't necessarily apply in that reality or something like that? They were working on the Scranton Reality Anchor, which is a device you'll probably hear about again. It's how the Foundation contains reality borders. His wife went on to finish the project. It was named after him. Interesting. Okay. But yeah. I'm just wondering if because he's in this other dimension, he's able to survive there without, like, anything. Like, if he's in this dimension of nothing, like air, how is he breathing? Again, food, water, all of those kind of things. Do I guess just those, like, laws of reality and of what we'd expect someone would need to survive not necessarily apply in this dimension?
He eventually makes his way over to a control panel that had gone through the wormhole with him, although he doesn't realize at first that it is actively recording. He makes several recordings, presumably for his own benefit, as he states his name and date of birth, mentions his favorite color is blue, and his favorite song is Living on a Prayer, and that he loves his wife.
Living on a prayer.
Before long, he notices a flashing light on the control panel, and realizes that the machine is working and recording. He panics and states his name again, asking if anyone can hear him, saying he doesn't know where he is. He's not sure at all how the machine is working, but he's pretty sure that no one can hear him. He also notes how hungry and thirsty he is, saying that he should have died of dehydration by now, an effect of the low Hume level, although it will take Robert some time to realize this. After fiddling with the machine some more, he locates the controls, causing the machine to speak, telling him he's been here for 2 weeks, 3 days, 7 hours, and 58 minutes.
It is interesting that the device is still, like, is the control panel still tethered to our dimension, reality, whatever you want to say? And it's still working, Is there some kind of, I guess, like, I don't know, quantum entanglement or something like that? You gotta remember he says how he doesn't mean that his body was out of his case slower? Right. So, same with the control panel? Okay. So essentially, yeah, the control panel could be powered and, like, the power would last longer. Gotcha. So, interesting. Okay.
Another week goes by, with Robert realizing now that it doesn't seem like he'll die here due to hunger or thirst, and he wonders if by some miracle he'll find his way out of here. 5 weeks go by with Robert barely recording anything, but he comes back and says that he's been trying to learn about this place he's in, referring to it as his prison and his kingdom.
Like, how can he see, too, right? If he's in a non-dimension, a dimension of, like, nothingness, I would assume that would mean there's no, like, light there. You know, like, how are you even like you just in this place floating? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, is he actually able to physically walk? Is there ground that he's moving on? Is he just floating around like swimming in space? Yeah, pretty sure that's what I figured. You know what I mean? So it's like, what really are you doing? How can you move around and investigate? Where's your sense of like placement? You know what I mean? Like, how can you move to another spot and make your way back, you know, when you don't necessarily have any kind of point of reference to where you began? You know, that's kind of like how the human mind works. You know, oftentimes they say, you know, when you get lost, just, you know, look for some kind of monument or, you know, some kind of familiar territory that you know of, so you can pinpoint your location and say, hey, you know, okay, I'm here, I need to go there to get where I need to go, kind of a situation. But you can't do that in this kind of reality. So it's like, I feel like that would be maddening in and of itself. Boys pictured floating in the bottom of Black Abyss, right? That's kind of what I'm picturing as well. I'm picturing it's literally just this black void of nothing, and the only real light he has is from the blinking light of the control panel. He's a scientist, so I imagine he's been forming theories about where he is. He can move in there, so I think he just picks a direction and goes as long as he can find his way back to the red light. That's true. The light is, I guess, a point of reference as long as he can see it. So I guess he would potentially, yeah, move around to... He would move far enough away until it gets to the point where the red light starts to dim. And so, like, as long as he can keep seeing the red light, he would want to, you know, not move away from that. But then again, if you're in a reality where there's literally no light, like even the smallest blinking light, you could probably see for a very long distance. Because there's nothing else there. There's no horizon to be broken up. You know what I mean? Like, and that light would travel out like everywhere. So, who knows?
He manages to maintain his professionalism, recording a log saying that he's going to document this place as an SCP to maybe help someone else in the future that gets stuck in here. A few days later, he records a log as if it were a standard SCP document about the non-dimension, but we can see the cracks in his mental state beginning to show. The only light source in the entire non-dimension is a small red light on the control panel, so he's been using that as a marker for his explorations. He also notes that he's felt an itch or a tingle across his head recently, but only if he concentrates on it. He next realizes that although he's thought he's been walking on flat ground this whole time, there really shouldn't be anything to walk on in this place. And now he notes that it's felt more like he's been swimming through something that's been applying pressure, like a thick black gel. He now realizes that by concentrating, he can actually move vertically as well as horizontally, again using the red light as his reference point, or as he calls it, Little Red.
Interesting. So I wonder, like, in this dimension, if he's able to, like, manifest his thoughts into reality almost. Like, he's concentrated enough to the point where he can essentially, like, fly now. So, like, would he be able to create something by concentrating enough in it? Like, create food, create water, create another light source by concentrating enough on it?
He understands a bit more about the location he's in now, knowing that it was caused by a problem with the reality stabilizer. He does some math, and apparently figures out how low the Hume level of this non-dimension is, but is not sure of the effects of that, as he's mostly worked with above-average Hume levels. At this point, he really begins talking to the red light directly, as if it were a person. He seems to be speaking to it, and imagines responses coming back from it, but this is pretty understandable, given the situation.
Yep.
Robert's scientific mind allows him to keep focus, however, as he continues to perform calculations to help him understand 3001. He learns that the reality stabilizer that sent him and the control panel here cranked up their Hume levels to a few times normal level, meaning that it will take longer for them to equalize with 3001 and disintegrate. By his calculations, he has about 3 years or so before he's gone, and he believes he'll have something figured out by then. The tingling feeling he's had is his Hume level starting to diffuse. Robert's next log reads, "Hey, Red. I'm gonna have to go for a bit. I want to test something, and you can't come with me. I'm sorry."
Wilson, no.
No, Red, I'm really, really sorry. I want you to come, I do, but if we're together, the diffusion will increase faster. We both need as much time as possible. I need to figure this place out more, and you need to make sure you keep all that info in your head. Red, come on. You'll be fine, Red. I know you will. You're tough. A lot tougher than me. It'll only be for a bit, Red, but I need to see if I can find a way to keep us alive a bit longer. Maybe even get us out of here. If I can contain enough field, I can maybe even get us out. No, I'm not sure, but I need to find out. Red, we're talking about possibly escaping, okay? Yeah, it's a gap. A gap should have an end, like the walls of a canyon, understand? I need to find a wall, and then I can... I'm sorry, Red. I hope we're still friends when I come back. I'm going now. I'll see you soon. The control panel didn't record anything for nearly 4 full months, when suddenly Robert returned, far less hopeful than when he left. He says that this place is hell, and it goes on forever. He traveled in a single direction for 2 months before turning around. He then wonders if he let himself fall down long enough, would he eventually hit a bottom? More than 4 months go by before Robert returns again, saying there is no bottom either. This is the point where Robert's mental state really begins to deteriorate, as he asks Red if he's ever been married, or had kids, begging Red to talk to him. He suddenly realizes that his picture of Anna is fading due to the Hume levels, and he panics, begging Anna not to go, and asking Red to go get help.
You know, it makes me wonder, though, like, they created this accident, and, like, couldn't they recreate the accident, essentially, to, like, open a pocket to get him out? You know what I mean? Or just, like, couldn't they, in, like, a containment area, recreate this accident and, like, send some kind of, like, probe with a tether attached to it to, like, pull him out? You know what I mean? You would think they'd be able to recreate it in some way to get him out.
Robert loses coherency at this point, as months go by with him only sobbing, screaming, and mumbling. It has now been roughly 2 years and 9 months since Robert
so they don't
entered
know
SCP
what
3001.
happened. I thought he was in there with his, you know, with a group of people. That would make much more sense. The accident happened with him in there by himself. So to everyone else, he just disappeared. They don't know that an accident happened. You know, I guess there would be no indication that anything happened. Okay. That makes a lot more sense then.
Robert finally manages to return and make another recording, although his voice is now distorted due to both his own and the control panel's Hume levels dropping.
But they're getting logs from him, right? Through this control panel. This control panel still attached to the SCP, and whatever he's logging, recording, they're still getting, right? Because am I mistaken in that, or is this story just him talking to Red and it's like no, the logs are just on the panel? Okay. I thought it was a situation where the panel was still connected to the SCP Foundation, you know, whatever. And so eventually, maybe in a time delay or something like that, they were getting all of these recordings. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I understand now. It's just a situation where he's just recording to himself, and this is going nowhere.
He says that he can't feel his legs anymore, and he's not even sure if he's real anymore. But he knows he doesn't want to die yet. He says he went in a straight diagonal line for 6 months, and fell down for 8 months, but still found no end. He tells Red that he and Anna were planning to name their kid Lucy. His hand begins to break apart, resembling a spider web, but he still retains his knowledge of science, continuing to do calculations on 3001. Unfortunately, his body is beginning to seriously disintegrate, as he claims his hands are moving through each other, and he pulls his thumb off. He says he can go through himself, feeling both warm and cold, and also loses a kidney, but pleads to let him keep just his heart. 5 years have passed now, with Robert and the control panel still somehow held together, but finally the red light begins to fade. 9 months go by, and Red seems to make a return. Robert attempted to kill himself over 220 times, but none of them worked. He can't see his body due to the darkness, but speculates that he at least has 1 foot left, a few leg muscles, maybe a lung, and a heart.
Like, could you imagine that, dude? Like it's one thing to have some kind of, like, life-changing disease, you know, that can affect you and over time maybe get bedridden and then eventually, you know, your body gives up. But it's like this slow decay, like this decay that's just so slow like that over years. And then, like, you stop feeling your body. You start even, like, really having a sense of reality in yourself. You can't even feel your own body anymore. You just feel like a sense of warmth occasionally, like, and to the point where, like, you're not even like a physical entity anymore, so you can't even do harm to yourself. You know what I mean? And then also I would think that, like, the idea of, like, the starvation factor, I mean, I guess maybe at some point in time you would just stop being hungry and stop being thirsty because your body is just given away. Like, you know, I don't know. It just seems so strange. But that would it would like, it's understandable on why someone would go crazy, dude. Like, just for me personally, like, I'm not like a super claustrophobic person or anything like that, but like, if I watch those like underwater sea cave diving videos, like, I get panic attacks from watching that shit sometimes, because it's like seeing those guys crawling in those like little itty bitty type spaces where they're underwater, and if the light goes out they can't see, and then, you know, you can get stuck, and like that shit, like, just thinking about being in that scenario, like, yeah, that can be anxiety inducing. So like the idea of being stuck in this non-reality where you're just decaying away and there's just nothing, there's no light, there's no sound, there's no food, there's no water, there's no sensation, there's just nothing, and you're slowly decaying away into nothingness with it, like, that would be maddening. Yeah. I mean, we're hearing SCP reports. They obviously, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was wondering. Like, we're hearing reports, so obviously they got it at some point in time. That's why I thought, like, the panel eventually is, you know, getting information back to them, but maybe it's on some kind of time delay or something. So I don't know. Anyway, let's continue.
He claims that this non-dimension is now getting smaller, as there now seems to be a visible border that is getting brighter. The light from this border allows Robert to see himself, and he says there's so much gone, although the control panel seems to be far more solid than him. Robert claims that touching the panel hurts like hell, but he's surprisingly lucid now. He comes to a realization about the collapsing border, which is acting more like waves, and also begins to understand what we already know about 3001 being a non-dimension between two realities, saying that it's a dead end. Robert says that these waves are from a parallel reality, and they're pushing on him and Red, gradually creating a new wormhole. The only problem is, he's not sure what will happen when that wormhole is created. Robert's body continues to break down as blood leaks from him, and he finds
Jesus.
himself constantly vomiting, despite not having eaten anything for years, nor having a stomach to hold anything.
Mm-hmm.
He says that he's not ready to go back yet, as he's pretty much a floating pile of organs kept functional by 3001. He has to stay away from the waves to prevent him from going through a wormhole and dying, but unfortunately the control panel will eventually go through. Robert says that he has 5 more years in 3001, during which he will slowly restabilize, giving him 5 years to figure out how to get out.
Interesting.
But he'll have to stay in here without his metal companion. A humming pulse begins growing louder in the background, and Robert breaks down in hysterics again, becoming almost incomprehensible as he begs both Red and Anna for support, wanting to hold her hand, and telling her he lost his ring. 5 years, 11 months, and 21 days after an incident sent Dr. Robert Scranton into a non-dimension, the stabilizer control panel, thought lost, suddenly reappeared in the testing facility. Dr. Anna Lang, overseeing the testing, went to investigate the panel, horrified at finding it covered in blood, bile, viscera, and hair, identifying the hair color as belonging to Robert. A hand fell off of the panel, along with a wedding ring, and Anna accessed the first audio log, hearing her husband's voice for the first time in nearly 6 years. She proceeds to faint from shock.
I bet.
This is where the story of SCP-3001 leaves off, ultimately unfinished and leaving Robert's final fate to your imagination.
Right.
According to the author, although much of Robert went back to our reality along with the control panel, there is still some of him in 3001,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite possible he's still functional. Will he find a way to eventually return to reality and reunite with his wife? Or will he slowly go completely insane and disintegrate entirely? Those aren't the only options, as some tales have shown, but I think it's good a story like this is left so open to the reader. The concept of being isolated from all human contact is certainly not a new one in fiction, but it's rarely taken to this degree. Not only was Robert left stranded with only a machine to talk to, he was left in near total darkness and had no way of ending his life. Chances are we've all felt emotions of loneliness and isolation at one point or another, but at least we're not stuck in the red reality.
All right, let's see what this quote is here. Quiet sobbing. Not yet, Red. Please. I know you want to go. I'm not ready yet. Not. Battering noise heard. I love you, Red. I love you, Anna. Quiet sob. Anna. Large screen speech pattern is most regular. Loud static bang heard, followed by spattering noises as something strikes the control panel once again. 5 years, 11 months, 21 days. Well, there you go. That was SCP-3001 Red Reality. I like stories like this, honestly. And I like the fact that he kind of leaves it up to your interpretation. I'm looking it up right now. I'm trying to think if this is the book. It's not the Hatchet. Okay. There's a book that I remember reading in middle school that feels kind of similar to this. I can never remember the name of it. I thought it was the Hatchet, but it's not. It has to do with a guy who gets into some kind of car accident out in the wilderness, in the middle of nowhere. Like his vehicle just gets like knocked off the side of the road somehow, and he gets trapped inside his car. Like he's pinned in his car, but there's like no evidence of there being a car accident. Like a deer or something like that jumps out in front of him. So like he wasn't hit by another car. There's no evidence that anyone got knocked off the road, but he's just like a few hundred yards off the road near a river embankment, and he's like pinned in his car and he can't get out. And so he's like essentially alone in the survival situation, pinned in his car. And it just, this story really reminds me of that story. And I can't, if anyone knows the book that I'm talking about, you know, leave it in the comments, but I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But I like stories like that, and like just seeing the things that people can go through, and really the kind of like will and fortitude it would take to survive a situation like that, you know? But yeah, you know, I like the idea of it being left open to your interpretation. Does he, you know, make it out? Does he eventually get back? Does he survive through the next 5 years and make it back to his wife? Does he have a happy ending? And even so, you know, is he kind of a real, you know, is he the same person that left? Because like even if he made it back, the kind of trauma that he went through from being alone like that for essentially 10 years for him, like, he would be a different person. You know, it's the same thing that happened in Castaway, you know, the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. You know, he got stranded on a desert island, and the only thing that really kept him alive was the idea of getting home to his wife, but everyone thought he was dead, and she moved on and started a new life, got remarried, you know, so he came home to, you know, not being able to get back to his old life and having to figure out what he was going to do with himself. And I feel like it would be potentially a similar situation with him, even if she didn't move on. Like, is he still the same person, and would they be able to continue their lives together? Kind of a situation. And and like he said here, you know, with the author stating, like, even if he did return, there's probably always going to be a piece of him there in that reality. You know what I mean? Like, but I like those stories. They're interesting concepts, and yeah, like I said, I like the idea of it kind of being left open to your interpretation. So I mean, what do you guys think? You guys think he made it home? You guys think he withstood the next 5 years without dying to get back? I feel like he probably did. I feel like he survived 5 years in utter hopelessness, and then, you know, trying to find a means of exit, and was getting to a point of literally losing all hope, trying to kill himself, and then something finally changed. You know, the red light began to blink stronger. The borders of his reality came to kind of enclose on him, and he realized that, okay, there's going to be a way out. A wormhole is eventually going to open, but I need to stay here for another 5 years so I can coalesce back into myself. Otherwise, if I were to return now, I'll just be, you know, pieces of myself, and I'll die anyway. So I feel like he would have endured it to get back. You know what I mean? But who knows? I mean, at the same time, you know, his wife found a panel with a hand and a bunch of blood and viscera and hair. So, I mean, maybe that's all that's left of him, you know? I like to think he made it home. There's a tale I won't spoil that has a much darker ending tied to a certain popular SCP. Gotcha. You know, I was thinking that, you know, maybe this was a universe that the Scarlet King devoured, you know? Maybe it actually wasn't necessarily a universe between universe, and potentially what if it's a universe that did exist, but the Scarlet King devoured it, you know? And this is just what's left when the Scarlet King's done and moved on. But, you know, who knows? So, but interesting story. Again, that is SCP-3001 Red Reality. I will have the link to the original video here without my commentary and reaction down below in the description, and to the Exploring Series channel. Please do me a favor, if you enjoyed watching this video along with me, go over there and give this video a like, and check out his channel, and see if any of his content has any interest to you. He makes a lot of great content for both the SCP universe and a lot of other stuff. The man does a lot of great content. Definitely deserves some love, so give him a sub. If you enjoyed this video of mine, do consider leaving a like and a sub. So I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps me and it helps the channel grow. We're also, as you can see, doing this live from our YouTube members. So would love to have you come in and hang out and join in discussions. If you'd like to do that with us, there is a join button down below this video. You can click that and see if any of the YouTube membership benefits have any interest to you. But regardless, appreciate you guys just coming in and hanging out. Hope you're having a wonderful day whenever you're watching this. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy, guys.